Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Rewind Photography. My name's Sean. Today I'm going to show you the 1986 European Camera of the Year.
Introducing the Canon Sure Shot Supreme. It's so automatic, you can't take a bad shot.
I can take a bad shot, like my backlit shot.
Nope. Sure Shot's auto flash corrects backlighting.
My too close shot.
Its autofocus gets you this close.
My no-hand shot. Shot in the dark shot.
With the Sure Shot Supreme, every shot,
Both eyes closed shot.
a sure shot. And its battery lasts about 5 years.
That's a bad shot.
The new Canon Sure Shot Supreme. So advanced, every shot's a sure shot.
Alright guys, so this is the Canon Sure Shot Supreme. So in Japan it was known as the Autoboy 3, and in Europe it was the Top Shot. And it was actually the Canon Top Shot that won the 1985 European Compact Camera of the Year. That is a mouthful. Nice little camera, a little point and shoot, 38mm 2.8 on here, fully, completely and totally automatic. You really have no control over any of your exposure, your ISO. It's all completely done for you. And Canon marketed this as the everyman's camera, one that, you know, anybody could take and shoot and nobody could screw it up. You'd end up with the perfect photo every time, which is actually what you just saw in the advertisement there. So yeah, I actually acquired this camera. If you've seen episode 2, I went and did the $25 camera challenge, and I came across this in a thrift store for $15. Really good deal actually. If you look at these things on eBay or any of the secondhand shops, anywhere from $20 to $80 depending on condition. This one's in absolutely mint condition. The case is absolutely mint. So these typically go for about 80 bucks in this condition. There's a reseller in town that refurbishes cameras and sells them, and he has one that he's listed for $80. So $15 is a pretty good deal. So if you're in and around those thrift shops, I highly recommend you check them out. You can find some great deals. So let's have a closer look at this camera. Then I'm going to throw a roll of film in it and take it out and do a bit of a test shoot, share the results with you guys. When I did pick this up, part of the reason why I got it at the time, I didn't know anything about the camera to be honest, but I picked it up because it had a roll of film in it. It had a roll of Kodak Gold 400, and I really like to find these old rolls of film and develop them and see what people thought was neat enough to take a picture of. I said in episode 2 when I bought this camera that I was going to use that Kodak Gold. When I did shoot this camera, I'm not going to. I lied to you guys again, mainly because I'm pretty sure the roll is expired, and I really want to actually test this camera out and decide if this is something I want to keep in my permanent collection. So to do that, I've actually got a roll of Fuji that I'm going to throw in here, brand new, so I can really test it out and see what the camera's capable of. Alright, so let's take a closer look at this camera. All these Sure Shot Supremes, Top Shots, Autoboy 3s all came with this nice leather case. Nice belt loop on it. Again, throw it on your belt, take it wherever, pop it out, take a photo. Let's get this case out of the way for now. So looking at this camera, one of the first things you'll notice is just the ergonomic design of it. This was actually what got it voted the 1986 European Compact Camera of the Year. If you look at point and shoot cameras from the era, they were all pretty square, not really ergonomic. This one was voted Camera of the Year because when I grip this camera, the curve of the camera pulls my thumb away so I can get a good solid sight line through my viewfinder without getting my hand, my thumb up in my face. So that's what got it voted, was the ergonomics. As far as functionality goes, pretty straightforward. Again, super simple, autofocus, automatic point and shoot. On button there. You can see the shutter cover pops open, and then a lever there to close it up when you're going to put it away in the case. Pretty easy. Red button on the top is your shutter release. Push it halfway down and it will focus for you. If you look through the viewfinder, you push the button halfway down, you'll see a green dot that lets you know it's in focus. If it's flashing at you, it's because you're too close to your subject. You need to take a step back. Once you get it in focus, you get the green dot. Push it the rest of the way down, it'll take a photo for you. Self timer there. push the button, you get a 10-second countdown. The little red light there will blink. Other than that, you do have an override feature for your flash. Again, fully automatic, so if it does detect low light, it will automatically fire the flash. You can see if I fire off a shot here, the flash goes automatically. If I do push and hold this gray button on the bottom, I can override the flash. Now if I take a photo, you'll see the flash doesn't go off. So you do have an override function if you do need it. Other than that, there is a early rewind button on the bottom. So this camera is auto rewind. Once you get to the end of your roll of film, it will automatically wind back into the canister. If for some reason you want to do that earlier, push the button on the bottom, it'll rewind into the canister. 1/4x20 tripod socket there. You've also got this fun little foot. So if I twist this foot, what ends up happening is that little angled piece of plastic comes out there, and I can now set this down on a flat surface and it'll give my camera an angle. So if I don't have a tripod and I want to take a stationary photo, say a group photo with my self timer, I can use this foot to help get the proper angle that I need on whatever flat surface I have. It does take a 2CR5 battery. They are a fairly expensive battery. I got this one for $10 from Walmart. I've had it in a camera for about 2 years now, and I just swapped it over to run this one. So when the commercial says the battery lasts 5 years, I tend to believe that it probably will. Like I said, I've had this for 2 already. That's pretty much it. There's not a whole lot to this camera. It will operate anywhere from a 1/2 second to 1/500th of a second shutter, automatically setting the aperture from 2.8 up to, I'm not quite sure what the minimum aperture is, probably f16 or f22. But yeah, it does it all automatically. So the meter is there. Once I push in, select get it into focus, it will automatically pick my shutter speed and my aperture to match my lighting situation. Loading film, little pull tab on the back there, pops the back door open. Pretty much no foamy light seals on this camera, so from a maintenance perspective, super simple. You do have the one light seal around the window there. This one is in great shape. It feels really solid. I have no reason to believe that it'll break down anytime soon. You can see the prongs inside. It is meant for DX coated film. If you're using bulk rolled, those little plastic containers, you're not going to be able to use it in this camera. It requires the DX coating in order to select your ISO, which runs its meter, which sets your exposure, etc. So you do need DX coated film to go in here. Alright, so I'm going to throw a roll of Fuji Superia 200 film into this. We'll take it out and get some photos and see just what this camera is capable of. So next time I see you, we'll be out walking around snapping some shots.
Oh boy!
ハンサムね君。いやー見かけだけじゃない、レンズが自慢さ。シャープなピント、全自動でチャンスは逃がさん。そう、Canon
Super!
強い味方。
Canon, old boy!
Just on the outskirts of downtown Calgary, shooting the Sure Shot. It's just below 0, so a little bit chilly today. Celsius, we are in Canada. I don't know, it's probably like 28, 29 Fahrenheit for you American folks. Hold up, where'd that facial hair come from? Well, this is part of the reality of what I'm trying to do. I actually filmed the photo walk and took all my photos back in December 2018. And it took me this long to get around to filming the introduction and to get it all edited and posted up, so you'll have to forgive the sudden facial hair. Just wandering around some of the back alleys and amongst these old buildings. It's kind of a neat little area. It's a lot of old brick buildings that they've kind of renovated and turned into modern office tower, or modern office buildings rather. So some neat photos in here. So I don't know what's going on. We've got probably about 6 shots left on the Sure Shot, and it's making the worst grinding noise every time you take a photo. You'll turn it on and off a couple times, and then it'll eventually catch and cycle to the next frame. I don't know if it's just because it's cold outside. It's about -5 right now, but yeah, hopefully these shots turn out, because I think they're hopefully gonna be a couple good ones on there, but we'll have to see what happens. Alright, I got one last shot on this. It's not advancing to it. It's really having a hard time. It's got to be the cold, so I'm sitting in the car here for a few minutes. Let this warm up and we'll see if we can't go get our last shot. There's a pretty cool old building across the street I'd like to get a photo of, so we'll see if we can get this working again. Alright, so I think the camera's warmed up. We're heading out to get our last shot here. I'm gonna go across the street to this old schoolhouse, the Victoria School, and see what we can get from that. So alright, that's it. You can hear it winding back into the canister there, so we'll head home and get this out, get it into the tank, and see if this worked. I hope it worked. So I'm home now, back down in the darkroom. I'm gonna take the roll out of this thing in the dark. I don't really trust that it wound up properly, but I gotta say I'm pretty nervous here. But you know, we'll get it in the tank and we'll see what's there. Alright, it was rolled up in the canister just fine, so no issues there. It's in the tank. I'm gonna get ready and develop it now. Hopefully, you know, it being rolled in the canister is a good sign, and I'm just being overly worried for nothing. So we'll find out when we're done here. Alright, we got 25 images, and I gotta say, these things are looking tack sharp. We'll get them up on the scanner, but I'm so far pretty impressed with that little point and shoot. Alright guys, so that's the Canon Sure Shot Supreme. Wrap things up, would I recommend this camera? You know, if you're looking for a purely automatic, not have to think about it, throw a roll of film in, go take some shots camera, absolutely. This is an absolutely wonderful little camera. The ergonomics feel fantastic, the meter is spot on. I mean, I think the pictures speak for themselves. It's a great little camera. Is it going to have a place in my permanent collection? I don't know. When I generally shoot color, I like to overexpose it. Especially with color negative film, you get a lot of latitude in your highlights. So it's really tough to blow them out. I find that if I overexpose by one stop, I generally get better results for me personally. I mean, every film is different, but that Fuji 200, I generally shoot that at 100 ISO. And I prefer the results I get out of that. I can't do that with this camera. I do have some point and shoot cameras that I can manually adjust the ISO. So I don't know if this is going to stay in my collection or not. It's certainly a wonderful camera, and if you're looking for that auto function, absolutely. Find this for a good deal, pick it up. Several of the photos you saw in today's photo reveal were taken of the Enoch Sales House, just outside downtown Calgary. Built in 1905, it's kind of the last pre-World War I house in the area, so it's kind of a neat historic landmark, and a lot of photographers like to take photos of it. Unfortunately, the morning of Saturday, February 2nd, 2019, which is about 6 weeks after I did the photo walk, Calgary fire crews responded to the house for reports of a fire. The home is pretty much essentially burnt down and is slated for demolition, so it's a pretty big loss to the history of Calgary, unfortunately.